Next paragraph. The two themes that run concurrent throughout this book are consecration, separation. You know, God has the same message, and he just weaves it in and out of the books. They just surface all the way through. He says, I want you to consecrate yourself to me. I want you to separate from the world. I want you to consecrate yourself to me. I want you to, and he just keeps saying it over and over again. Consecration is seen in the desire of the people and their leaders that they had to restore the true worship of the Lord. The people of God faced great opposition. Their adversaries were, and this is not being impolite, they were half-breeds. They were half Jews and half pagans. From the time of 2 Kings 17, if you remember 2 Kings 17, the Assyrian king came down, took away the Jews, left everybody that was sick, poor, maimed, mentally troubled, left them in the land, and then intermarried them with pagan peoples he conquered all along the way. And so what happened was they weren't any longer Jews. They were Samaritans. That's where Samaritans came from. It came from a conscious intermarriage by the king of Assyria with foreign people into the Jewish line. It was part of Satan's plan. He hoped he'd ruin the Messianic line. Didn't work because God kept among the captives some that would not intermarry. And so these semi-heathen Samaritans were the chief problems in chapter 4. And if you want to look at that in Ezra chapter 4, look at the problems. Now when the adversaries, verse 1, of Judah and Bethlehem heard what was going on, look at verse 4. They tried to discourage the people of Judah. They troubled them in the building. Do you know who will be some of your greatest adversaries in the Christian life? People who think they're Christians. And they go, now don't be fanatic. Now, take this with a grain of salt. Don't go crazy about this Christianity stuff. I don't, And they're just half there. In other words, they're not really Christians. And usually those are our greatest adversaries. They know a little bit about the Bible. Kind of like every time someone does anything wrong in political life, the local ministerium, most of whom are liberal and unbelieving, barrage the papers from the voice of the Bible. And they really don't believe the Bible, and they don't know Christ. And they write about as if they did know him. Look at verse 10 of chapter 4. It says, and the rest of the nations whom the great and noble Osnapper took captive and settled in the cities of Samaria, and the remainder beyond the river, and so forth. See, these people were all intermarried with these different ones. They were taught to fear God and serve idols, and that they did. That's what 2 Kings 17 says. It says, these people feared God and served idols. You say, that doesn't fit. You're right. What it means is they gave eye service to God, and they were, they knew he was out there, but they wouldn't give up their little shrines that they all had at home, and they would bow down and have their little deal at home. And so they were very, very compromising. Okay, secondly, that's consecration. Separation is seen in the work of Ezra. He was earnest in his desire to purify the people of God, and he never turned back from that. He found 112 cases of intermarriage that were in direct disobedience to the Mosaic law, and he dealt with every one of them. Did you know that 112 of the returnees, of the 43,700 or so people that came back to Israel, 112 of those had married foreigners? You know what chapter 10 of Ezra is all about? He says you've got to get rid of those. You've got to dissolve the marriage. It was totally ungodly, unbiblical. Now you say, wait a minute. Whoa, that's a good deal. You mean I can just do that? No. That was a very special time in history. And God says, my pure people are going to be building a temple. They are going to continue the worship of the true God. There can be no foreigners, no pagans intermarried with the Jews. And they put them away. Very interesting part of the Bible, but that's chapter 10. It lists off the names of all 112. And it really condemns those men that married pagan wives. They were not to do that.